Why busy cities are trying congestion pricing for cars. In August of 2017, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo that congestion pricing is an idea whose time has come. In the face of now, a year and a half later, New York to pass some version of congestion pricing in the next state budget, even though we still don't know any important details about it. Politics. That being said, the very idea of congestion pricing is poorly understood, both by elected officials and the general public. Is it a tax? What is congestion pricing? There are several different variations of congestion pricing, but the core principle is a surcharge for drivers entering a dense urban core. The current proposal in New York is to establish a congestion pricing charge in what's known as the Central Business District, or CBD, which is the part of Manhattan south of 60th Street down to the Financial District. Drivers to pay about $12 to $15 per trip into the CBD only once per day, and trucks about double that. To give context, in all likelihood, the payment will use the same toll technology deployed at the region's bridges and tunnels, which scan easy passes or, if a car doesn't have one, snaps a picture of the license plate and sends the registered driver a bill. It is also widely assumed that this charge would already take into account tolls levied on bridges or tunnels, so drivers aren't double charged the same day. Where is congestion pricing currently used? 3 cities already use congestion pricing: London, Stockholm, and Singapore. Does it work? In short, it can, but it depends on what the goal is for that particular city. Congestion pricing works at reducing traffic and raising some amount of revenue, i.e., not costing more. In London, congestion immediately reduced by 25% and vehicle speeds increased 30% within the cordon zone, according to various congestion pricing schemes. CO2 emissions. In the first 14 years of congestion pricing, London received roughly. Notably, Stockholm saw similar gains, with a 25% increase in vehicle speeds and a 25% reduction in congestion. The program But why? The idea behind congestion pricing is that road space is currently too cheap for every driver. Take Manhattan, for example. In turn, that money can go towards making more efficient forms of transportation better, something desperately needed in a city like New York, which is why Cuomo suddenly decided congestion pricing's time had come in 2017, despite aggravating gridlock being a fixture of our fair city for decades. I am a driver. I don't want to pay. I am not going to tell you what to think on this, but I will urge you to resist the reflexivity of why should I pay for something I currently get for free, or, at least, less logic. Hear me out. Driving in Manhattan is an objectively terrible experience. It's not so bad. Average vehicle speeds in the CBD have fallen from 9.1 mph in 2010 to 7.2 mph in 2016, the latest year for which data is available. The Midtown core, as noted above, one of the key benefits of congestion pricing is that there are fewer vehicles on the road. Therefore, what about the people who can't afford the fee? There is very little data to support the argument that a large number of low-income New Yorkers would be subject to the congestion pricing fee on a regular basis. In fact, just 4% of outer borough residents commute into the CBD by private vehicle, and only 2% of the working poor would be regularly subject to the charge. In contrast, the fact of the matter is, most New Yorkers rely on public transportation to get around, and virtually any form of congestion pricing could, in theory, improve service. Okay, but this is New York. They'll screw it up some. Oh, hell yes. As mentioned above, the biggest potential for New York to screw this up is by making too many exceptions, or carve-outs, for who is subject to the charge. One of the key issues, as noted above, taxis and for-hire vehicles are exempt from London's fee, and New York for-hire drivers. Yet, it is. Similarly, New Jersey politicians for their constituents who commute into the city, even though it's not clear why New York politicians would grant exemptions to a state that itself which goes to New York's Penn Station. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio about drivers coming into the city for doctor's appointments and other hardship exemptions. Again, carve-outs are not inherently ridiculous, but the more carve-outs there are, the less effective congestion pricing will be. Aside from but the issue to watch is why New York is finally passing congestion pricing in the first place. Lawmakers will congestion pricing solve traffic problems in cities? Congestion pricing can be an effective way for cities to tackle multiple problems with one policy, but it is not a panacea for any one problem. At its best, furthermore, some cities and have made impressive strides at reducing car usage without implementing any form of congestion pricing. Instead, which brings us to the final question about New York's congestion pricing plan. What if it doesn't raise enough money? Does that mean in this way, New York is potentially setting congestion pricing up to fail? It will either fail. Should other U.S. cities consider congestion pricing? And officials have at least floated the idea of possibly considering something like congestion pricing. But it's dangerous. The worst possible outcome for congestion pricing, in New York or elsewhere, is that everyone considers its implementation a job well done. Instead, it's
raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,